I don't think it's a bad thing to write slow. And actually, I don't think that's slow, Alan. I think that's more normal than you'd think. However, I think it's important to know what your goal is. If you need to be able to write faster, particularly, I know that this is a group of video game composers, but if you ever do film or if you ever do commercial work, ad type work, which I've done quite a bit of, that's the kind of stuff, especially in the trailer world. Oh my gosh, they give you like 12 hours. They give you 24 hours to write 3 minutes of like super highly produced music, and that's it. And sometimes you're competing. I don't really love competing, but sometimes it's like you and 3 other people writing, and the trailer company is going to pick which of the 3 is the best in that short amount of time. And that kind of writing is super high pressure. And if you're in the TV world, especially scoring, let's just pick on Netflix for a second, which is like 42 minutes of music, whatever, 30 minutes of music every week. That's crazy, because you're having, especially if you're working on multiple shows, which a lot of guys are. And I mean, that's crazy. You're working 10-hour days, just trying to crank out 5, 6, 7 minutes of music a day, working 6, 7 days a week, and it's just killer. So you have to know if that's something that you want. If that's the type of music you want to do, then yeah, I think that's really critical that you learn how to write fast. But I think at some point, everyone has a tipping point where your quality goes down because you're writing too fast. And I don't want to overlook that. I'm not picking on James. I love James. But NES music, right? You're using 2 layers, 3 layers of the same sound. So you're not spending, I don't want to say none, but even watching your stream, like you spend a lot of the time on like the little tremolos and little portamentos, and like you really cared about the craft of the composition, and that's kind of your niche in the production field. But compare that to like trailer music, or like really over the top. I've played a lot of Elden Ring recently, so it's like super big orchestral choir, epic recording sessions, and like that kind of music. And what I'm doing right now for Dark Dice is so labor intensive. It's the most labor intensive music I've ever written in my life. I probably composed the tracks in about an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, to like write a minute or 2 of music. But then by the time it turns into a 5-minute track and it's orchestrated, like literally spent a year. It's been like a year and a half now writing 13 tracks, which is about an hour of music, but dang, that's a lot of time. That's like hundreds of hours of my time. So you see how you can't quite compare. These are 2 very different types of things. And yeah, go ahead, James. What's up?
Oh, no, could you finish? Because I want to say something about the NES part that you picked up on.
Oh, go ahead. That's fine.
All right. So basically another reason why I write so fast is because I don't have many instruments to really use.
Yeah.
So I only have 4 instruments, 5 instruments at most. Like sometimes I'll use like the MMC5, which is just an additional pulse and an 2 additional pulse waves. But that's pretty much about it. Like I don't really have a whole lot. Like my SNES music takes at least 30 minutes more longer than my NES music does, because there's just way more layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna comment that for me personally, there's a huge difference between how long it takes me to write a song versus arranging and orchestrating it.
Yeah.
So I grew up, basically at the piano. And so I have a very comfortable level of just playing, improvising, and I can record, an hour just playing at the piano for an hour,
right,
and get some decent kind of sections out of that I want to turn into a track. So I have an hour of music in an hour. So 60 minutes, but now I have like, how am I going to make that, how am I going to produce it, turn into arranging for orchestra, or if I want it to be like more for guitar. I find that the way that I can do that quickly is just go with your gut. I've had so many kind of self-critical moments where I think, I could do, I need a better VST, or, I need to change the chords in here now. But really I find if you stick with your gut, you will make mistakes at some point, sure. But the more mistakes you make, the more you learn from it, you know what not to do the next time. So that has been huge for me in just putting something, on paper, digitally, and making choices, saying, okay, this is going to go to clarinet, this is going to go to strings, and then see if it works, and then just kind of let that ship sail, finish that one off, and then learn from it and try on the next track. Those are kind of my experiences with writing quickly is just getting it out there, out of your head, onto paper or into the DAW, and not second guessing yourself. There's the whole idea of I think, Stephen, you might have mentioned this before, the what is it called, law of diminishing returns, where you can put 80% of a project's time into getting it like up to you need to spend 20% of time getting up to 80% quality, and then you could spend hours and hours trying to squeeze out a few more percentage worth of quality, and it's just not worth it at that point.
Yep.
So just make fast decisions, obviously not ridiculous decisions if it's for a client. If you're experimenting, do whatever you want, but that's what I've found.
And I think that there are composers on all ends of the spectrum of this talk, of this discussion of how much time is enough time and too much time. And I've had the pleasure of working with some pretty awesome AAA composers in the game space who have completely opposite perspectives. And Alan, I want to I'm sharing this because I want to encourage you that you may not be I don't think you're in like a negative mindset because you care so deeply about the quality level. Because I've worked with some guys who are top of the top in the game industry to this day. They don't write a lot of music because they are so particular about the quality of the music, and they hold it to such a high bar. And we remember these people for this reason. You can only name 5 soundtracks that they've done, 10 soundtracks that they've done in a whole lifetime career, but they're all masterpieces. And you can probably guess some of these guys who they are. And these are the people who they refuse to put their name on anything until it is at a 10 out of 10. And I don't do that personally. I feel like for me, I want to make more. Like I want to make as much as I possibly can, so long as it's up to my personal quality level. And if the client is going to have some kind of feedback on, hey, we can make this better, then cool. If there's any level of pushback, or maybe there's some awards on the line or something, then we're going to really push harder. Because even right now, I'll share with this group that right now we're pushing really hard for Dark Dice to push for Grammys this year. This has a very strong chance because it's at that level. And so we've been pushing and like remixing. I'm on like version 7. I actually have finally mixed everything. But that's why it's taken so long, because we know that we're close enough that if we just try another pass, is worth squeezing out that extra few percentage because we think it's worth it. It's at that level. And I haven't felt that way about many of my other soundtracks like I have for this. We've also spent a heck of a lot of money, and for the sake of the client, I think that's the right thing to do. Is okay, we've put a lot of money and time and people behind this. We have a very large team on this, and like, come on, let's get this. If this is just a few more hours of mixing, come on, let's do it.